Welcome to the official AFL Fantasy podcast with the Traders.
G'day with the Traders, I'm Roy. I coach Destroy and I'm here with Warnie.
Coach of the Wando.
And Calvin.
Coach of Calvinator. What are we doing, boys?
Well, I can tell you, the first to fourth years are back.
Okay.
And so are the really fat ones that are hopeless. They have to go back as well and officially start their preseason.
That's us.
And that's the bracket we fall into.
Exactly.
Despite being 25-year veterans in this game.
Oh, boy.
The skin folds just said,
I know.
Get back on the track, boys.
Well, Roy, you've got a hat to avenge, so
I do.
you want to start. That's the thing.
I do.
You've
I do
been
need
sitting
to.
there,
Yep.
grinding your teeth
Yes.
since 81 days ago that the
81
game
days.
finished, the season finished.
And I will have my vengeance.
You will.
In this life or the next.
You will.
And so, anyway, this is a bit over 100 days until we're back into it properly.
My
But
goodness,
we're back
that's a
into
long
it probably a little bit sooner because
Yeah.
the game will hopefully be launched
Oh, here we go.
soon. Depends on-
Warnie's
define
busting
soon.
for a leak.
Fantasy leagues are here. We've got a few things to talk about. So, big episode. There's lots of great changes happening, especially for draft
Yes.
coaches.
Oh, yes, yes.
Heard
We're going to
this,
find
heard
out
about
about this very soon. Very exciting.
Okay.
We had the fixture. That's dropped this week. So, that's there. And there's a bit to talk about there. And we also had the trade period a month or so ago.
Yeah.
That's right, yep.
It was a while. And there's a couple of names in that we wanted to have a little bit of a chat about. throughout
Definitely.
This episode.
Oh,
It
yeah.
went from, well, it was a bit of a dragged out process,
Yes,
to be
it was.
honest. But I tell you what, at the end of it, you sit down and look at it, fantasy-wise,
Relevant.
hugely relevant.
Humdingers, Roy.
Humdingers, all right.
Humdingers.
Yeah. How did you go with your trade radio? Did you put in some time?
You know
Destroy?
what? I'm disappointed in myself. I just couldn't hang in there this
Couldn't
year.
you?
No, weak effort, especially in my vengeance year. I should have really...
Deadline day was big, though.
Oh, huge.
Yeah, a bit up. Anyway, let's start with the fixtures because that dropped and there's a lot of news and there's some different things and there's plenty of stuff for us as fantasy coaches that we need to look at. What do you reckon I looked at first?
Who's got
Buys.
the early?
So we've got
Buy.
opening round back again. So that's as it is. We get our free look.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
Oh, gosh, you're
Footy's-
professional.
Isn't he
Footy's
very
good,
professional?
though.
Sickening.
I love footy.
I love
And I
footy
want to
too.
watch it. And if that started a week earlier, I'm happy with that. But it does make fantasy a bit more difficult, challenging, fun. It could be.
Fun.
Anyway,
I'll tell you what, it is an opportunity
It is.
to get a leg up.
It is.
If you can strategically nail it,
Yep.
it gets you a leg up on the competition.
From memory, I got off to a good start, Roy, last year. And this is why. I'm an opening round specialist.
There's an interesting thing to this, though. So I'd say, yes, you got off to a good start,
Yeah.
but you went too hard with it and
Yeah.
it set you up for failure.
you got
But
off to a
it
too
was-
good of a
He
start.
did, but it was actually the same way that the overall winner went about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ironically.
We've got a lot in common.
You do.
We do, yes.
So Chris actually was
He's
pretty
just
heavy.
luckier, is he?
Yeah, very lucky.
Pretty heavy. He played his opening
good.
buys pretty well, I think, last year. Started with a few, probably more than I thought maybe was the strategy. But then the key for him was when he jumped on the guns that he needed to have from
Smart.
those. Anyway, so opening round does start on Thursday, the 6th of March. We've got Brisbane and Geelong to get started. Then Friday night is Sydney and Hawthorn. Gold Coast and the Bombers play on Saturday night or afternoon, evening type thing. And then on Sunday afternoon, it is GWS and Collingwood. That means that those guys all have buys, the early buys.
Correct.
This year it's a bit different because they're going to knock those out before gather round. It was spread either side of gather round last year, but they knock them out in the first, rounds 2, 3 and 4. So how that's looking... 2 teams on a bye, which is Gold Coast and GWS. And I think they shared the first bye last year. Or
Pretty
second.
sure
I
they
think
did.
some.
Yeah,
They were
pretty sure they
close.
did.
I have a
I think they
feeling
shared
they
the
did.
same one. Anyway, then it's 4 teams on a bye. So that's where the difference is. So instead of 2, 2, 2, 2.
Yes.
Welcome
Richie.
back. Welcome back. That is cricket season, isn't it? There's going to be 4. So it's a little bit different there, but it's only over 3 weeks we're going to see that.
Okay.
Oh, I love it when they extend by
I love it
rounds.
too, Roy.
So anyway, that means we've got 4. So we had last year the rules in Classic where it was best 18, like we'd normally have for bye rounds, but 2 trades per week for those. My gut feel, we don't know this yet. There's no actual fantasy league on this one, but I'm thinking we're going to stick with best 18 for all the buys because it's just the familiar thing.
Oh, I have been teasing you a bit, Dog, but I'm 100% with you on
I'm
that.
ticking it
I
off.
think if that is what we are given, I think that was an effective way to...
And
Agree.
despite
play.
4 teams on the bye. I still think probably just go 2 trades for all the
Manageable.
opening bye rounds,
Yeah.
or the early buys,
Yeah.
and then go to the familiar.
Look, what
That's
that
fine.
does is it
That's
keeps
fine.
it nice and simple
Yes.
for
Yep.
simple people.
Well,
Yes.
Calvin, you
Yep.
are our denominator for
That's
this.
exactly
you are
right.
the person that we go, will Calvin understand it? Yes.
I'm the domino.
Domino.
Exactly. The dominator this year, Roy.
You got a bit of work to do, Calvin.
I do, a lot of work to
Anyway,
do.
so we got the mid-season buys. Now, this has changed.
What?
I didn't like the fact
actually
that we
don't
went
know
to
this.
4 buy rounds last year, or a
yes.
couple of years ago that happened.
Yes.
We're now at 5 weeks of mid-season buys.
I love it.
That's more trades.
Part of me just loves it.
Well, so if we do go with that, which
Yeah.
possibly we
Right.
stick with the 3 trades on those mid-season buys, we've got 4 teams, 2 teams, 4 teams, 4 teams, 4 teams. So we don't have those big bulk 16 buys.
Yep.
That's a win.
That is
It
a win.
is.
That is a win.
So it'll be easier to manage in that.
So, in that, though, that's over rounds 12 to 16. My eyes go straight to round 13 with the team with the 2.
Yes.
With the 2. And that is your Freo and your St Kilda. There are plenty, because usually this is Gold Coast.
It is.
Or Port Adelaide.
Yep.
And we sort of chase these guys. We get your rat pastors and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But this time, we've actually got some awesome options.
We do.
From the Dockers and the Saints.
And the other
There's
ones
a lot
that we
of
do.
guys that are traps from those two. Don't you forget that.
And the other ones we
I
do
have
like to
already.
look at, those teams that we try to pick up players that have just had their bye.
Yeah.
and
Right,
something.
yes.
But going back to those early buys then, that round 3 one, where the 4 teams are on the bye, there's some relevant names. So Brisbane Lions are on there, they're reigning premiers. They were good. And they have
very good.
Keidean Coleman coming back with a massive 30% discount, who was cheap last year that we wanted to pick.
Yes, correct.
Then, so he's there. You've got Ashcroft times 2 because
Yes.
they're going to have
They'll have both.
the must-have rookie of the year.
Yeah.
Who's going to cost us a couple of dollars, but he's going to be worth every
There's
cent,
room
I
for
think.
both.
You could be looking at them. Then the other big one, and we're going to be talking about him later on in the podcast, but Bailey Smith, the Baz Lenker is on that one. So that round that's got those 4 teams on it,
Yes.
traditionally in my brain would be going, I'm trying to avoid that. But there's some there that Baz Lenker, what's he priced at? About 50?
It's
I
about
think.
50.
It's embarrassing.
You just have to have that,
Yeah.
despite the fact he's going to have a buy in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, he's
We-
a definite exception to the rule.
We started last year. You cannot have any premiums. In
Yeah,
those
that's what it
buys.
was.
Yeah,
Okay, that was our rule.
Rules
first
are made
year,
to be broken.
and we
you
broke them. Of
You
course
broke
we
them
did.
a lot.
It's interesting with that, though, in saying those opening round teams, there's probably there's not a heap of premiums as such that I'm going, I really want them or anything to start with. So, but it is early doors, 100 and whatever days it is until we start. So things are going to change, and we're going to have our club previews coming up, starting Boxing Day.
I love our
Boxing
club
Day.
previews. We rarely get them wrong.
No,
No.
I'm with you.
Even
Roy.
though like, footy's barely started.
Yeah.
Like it's the first to 4th years and we're rolling those in.
Like we've got a crystal ball.
No wonder we're here so early.
I know.
Putting in the hard yards. Thanks for the 3 people that are probably listening to us now.
No, they're hooked, dog. They're hooked. They're keen.
Anyway, so they're the buys. We'll know a little bit more when the game is launching, exactly what the rules will be. But my tip is, for Classic, it's going to be the same. Draft, we'll have to have a bit of a think. We might actually quiz old MJ.
That would be a good
soon.
idea.
Yep.
See what could be some of the options there. Because 5 rounds in the middle where we traditionally have them off in our draft leagues, that's a big stint not playing any
Over
games.
a month.
Correct.
I don't know if we can do that.
No, I'm soldier on.
A couple of other news out of the fixture. Thursday nights are here, and they are here to stay. Basically, every round, up until the last 2, are going to be Thursday night games.
Hang on. Process that, please.
Did you say what?
Every round.
They grew on me.
They did.
It is good.
When it wasn't there, I missed it.
Same. Yeah.
When it was there, I hated it.
Yeah.
It was like a real torn
They have
relationship.
they're all 7:30 starts, or unless they're in the West, I think they're 8:10 starts. So we've got that sort of half hour from when we finish.
I think that's
AFL
what I really
Fantasy
dislike.
Yeah,
Live.
I need that.
It's selfish,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's what I dislike.
The greatest program. See, Channel 7 are rolling out all these new shows are saying, but the one that you want is Thursday night. Actually, hopefully the AFL still wants to do that. Actually.
that's true.
They should. What? 6:15.
Yeah.
Surely we would have got a tap
You
on the
catch that
shoulder
on,
to make that an official program.
You can catch that on afl.com.au or the AFL or via the live AFL app. Is that what it is?
6:15. Anyway, we'll see if that's happening. Hopefully it is. But that'll be your pre-game going
Yeah.
into that first game of every round.
Oh, you need to be
every
there.
round except for round 23 and 24.
24.
Oh, feet up by then.
Yes.
Well, you won't be worrying them because that's like prelim final and grand final of our...
Yeah.
I'm hunting.
I'll be game on
leagues.
then.
You guys are focusing on a hat. I'm focusing on the toot. Seriously.
No, I blew my chance last
The other one
year.
too,
She's gone.
quite a few Sunday night games. There's a fair bit going on with the fixture. Go and check it out. It's lots of different time slots, like Saturday afternoons. Pretty much a start at 1:20 now. So a little bit earlier,
no.
Cal. You can...
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I'm in a world of trouble if I'm getting too pretty with these.
Oh, no.
I'm going lock and load cow mode.
You got to.
Anyway, that's the fixture. Go and check it out at afl.com.au. Plenty of stuff happening there too. We've got the draft next week. That's the other thing to be around. And you can go and find your fresh meat.
There you go.
The little piglets coming out next week because...
No, that is exciting. I do
we'll
like
see
it.
who they are and see where the numbers are coming from. We'll have plenty of that content during the pre-season to work out who are going to be those cash cows that we want. And you can catch all the cow, not you cow, Cow Toomey's work
Oh, yes.
on afl.com.au. And if you want a great bit of coverage, 6:45 p.m. when the draft starts.
Be good.
Lock it in.
Get great coverage.
And now, the starting lineup for your Chicago Bulls. We've got MJ, the product manager for AFL Fantasy. Now, many of us are having a break, and Cow, it's been a pretty good break.
It has been a great break.
That's not everyone having a break, and the guys behind the game have been working flat out. MJ, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I wasn't expecting that intro, to be honest. You really caught me off guard.
How'd I go with it?
I thought it was great. I'm awake and ready to go.
You did miss, you could have said MJ working overtime.
Oh, I could do. Yeah, could have. Can we start again? No way, I nailed that thing.
MJ, welcome, mate. We spoke to you, or I did, because those blokes didn't want to talk to you, last year, or during the season, for one of our nice coaches' corners, and you gave us a bit of an update on what's going on in the game. You've got more news for us.
Yeah, obviously, when I chatted earlier in the year, it was more a case of, hey, there's stuff happening and we're working towards things and we haven't got anything locked in. But it's been a really big few months. Honestly, it's probably been a big 12 months to get to this point where we're really trying to build out the fantasy product. But particularly for 2025, we've got some big developments happening on the draft game. So for a little bit of context, and I did mention during the year that we were going out to market and chatting to a whole bunch of vendors to see who's going to be best placed to build AFL fantasy going forward. And we chatted to a bunch of companies in Australia and around the world and got some really good insights on just fantasy sports in general. But we landed to continue to work with our wonderful partners at Genius Sports. And we've got a lot of big plans happening over the next 24, even to 36 months. So a big sort of 2 to 3 year roadmap across the whole fantasy and tipping suite, mind you. But fantasy draft is on the agenda for next year. We are rebuilding the entire fantasy draft platform from scratch. So we obviously had built out some customization stuff. We did the Ultimate Footy migration the last couple of years, but we were building it on a really old platform. Mm-hmm. This has given us the opportunity to basically just start again. So brand new platform from the ground up. We've had a bunch of surveys over the last couple of years, more specific ones this year on draft, reaching out to the old Ultimate Footy community, reaching out to the DT Shiva committee, all those guys. And it's resonated in what's going to be this pretty great new draft platform. And I know I've shared tiny bits with you guys to see some designs, but we're just working full steam ahead to get it all ready to go.
Rebuild. Where would you start, Cow?
Mate, I'd start at the bottom and I'd build my way to the top. That's how I build things.
Bricks and would you start with a slab?
I'd start with a slab.
So what's in the slab then? What were we going to see as some differences, I guess? So what would be some of the key things that we've gone into it, wanting to achieve, I guess, from a rebuild and what we'll see?
Rio.
Yeah.
Rio in the slab, Roy.
Hopefully there's some good Rio in
there
this.
Would be a lot of Rio in there. Right, what's in the slab, MJ? What's in the slab?
Look, the main thing that we wanted to do was to, and this is what we've always wanted to do with draft, is make it as customizable for any user to use the platform the way they want to be using it. And what we're going to create this year is a draft platform that basically allows you, once you are in your league, everything in that part exists for your league. So even when you go to the match center and you click on the players for a particular game, it's going to highlight the players that you've got and your opponent's got in that game. And making sure that whenever you're there, everything's really clear, really clean. Probably the most exciting change that we've got is the draft board. And we've been looking at a whole bunch of fantasy platforms around the world, and it's going to be pretty clear once everyone jumps on board that we've been heavily inspired by Sleeper in the US. But having the draft board available, not only for the live draft, so you can actually see every pick that's taken, make that a really clean, clear drafting experience on app and web, but that draft board will be available potentially not with launch, but it'll be available during the during the preseason, even before your draft. So you can jump in there, you can have a play around with your lists, and you can familiarize yourself. There's nothing worse than jumping into a draft room and being a bit panicky. You don't know where all the buttons are. You don't know where things are going. So we've got that. We've got the ability to force start a draft as well. So if you're all sitting in there with 5 minutes before the draft starts, the commissioner can just press play and off you go. It'll also have the ability to pause a draft.
That's good.
So when someone's Wi-Fi drops out, or
you need to go and get a beer.
That's it. Yep. Guilty.
No, that's cool. You've shared with us like an image of that, which we're going to share that on social so everyone can see what that looks like, because it is a pretty sweet looking thing. It is using our data from last year. I'm looking at Calvin's picks there. Tim English, you took him with pick 1. That worked out well for you, mate.
Yeah, I'm going well.
Yeah.
Off to a
Sicily
flyer.
was your second pick.
Was it really?
Taranto, your third pick.
Oh, give up, son. Give up, son.
You're an expert. But yeah, it looks awesome. We'll share that out there, and that's sort of what people can get familiar with what that's going to look like. And it's a fun way of doing it. I've done a couple of those drafts on Sleeper, did one with you, MJ, and it is nice and fun and easy to use, whether that's on desktop or on app as well. And that's going to be sort of a nice thing that you're going to have big updates, I guess, and familiarity between the app and the website with that experience.
100%. So we want to make sure the app experience is basically on parity with web. Look, our main focus this off-season and pre-season, and even start of the season, is to just get as much stuff out there as possible. So there will be a little bit of a web-first mentality when we are doing releases in sort of Jan, Feb, March, just getting everything out there as quickly as possible. But then the idea is to build it out on app as well. So it's all there. I mean, that's the way people are using the game, particularly when it comes to live matches. App is king. So we want to make sure that app experience is pretty key. So, I mean, I could go through a shopping list of features to give you to chat through. I can also go through some other stuff. So what's the most important thing you want to chat
things
through?
are, we're pretty simple, and we're pretty happy to play the game pretty simply, but there are a lot of people that do like some bespoke things in their leagues. And what have been some of the big things that have been called out that people would like to see changed in our settings that will probably, a good chance to have those for 2025?
Yeah, that's it. And look, 2025 at this stage, even things as specific as pre-draft pick trading, obviously being able to trade your pick, but if you're in a keeper league, being able to trade your players before the actual draft starts. It was always a bit messy last year. Not only not being able to do it, but then trying to allocate picks to certain players was a bit difficult. And that was because we'd already had this old draft platform that we tried to iterate on. So that's going to be a really good one. We're really hoping to have that as early as we can in 2025. It may not be there when we first go live, but it will hopefully be there before you start to draft. And that's the same with having mock drafts. So you can do a little mock draft to get yourself ready to go against the computer. Again, may not be there at the start of preseason, but hopefully once live drafts are available come Feb like we normally do, it'll be there. Even little things like the ability to have a split lockout in your league. So if you want to make sure that your captain has to be locked in by Friday night, but you want the rest of your team to be locked in on Saturday afternoon, giving you that possibility.
Even no looping cow.
Wow.
Yep. That would actually be great for draft.
It would be good for draft.
I'd like that in Classic too, but yeah.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, I love it.
Classic. And that's it. Flex positions, injury replacements.
Ooh, flex. The old sort of the utility as such.
Named after you, Roy.
I like the sound of it.
Roy, see, we wanted utility, but Roy said,
it's a flex.
well, I need something named after me in this game.
Look, I don't find hard for much in the changes, but that's one that I really wanted to get over the line.
So that's where you can basically have an extra slot on field, and they can be any position, and that can be multiple slots as well.
And that's the beauty, right? It's all customizable. So you can have a team of utilities. You can have 20 utilities on the field if you really want to. You can have one. You can have as many as you want. And that's the beauty of the customization. All these things that I'm chatting through are things that if you don't like, don't have them in your league. That's fine. If you do, yeah, they're there for you. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I think one thing that's been really good, and we've been working with Jaden Popowski this offseason. He's come on board to help us with a lot of stuff. That's particularly awesome. in terms of our modelling. So that's going to be stuff with the classic and the break evens and the pricing and things like that. But for draft, mate, the bloke's an absolute whiz, but
He's unreal.
He's been doing things like introducing the head-to-head matchup probability, so it's going to have percentages of who's more likely to win.
Oh, wow.
That'll be live, so it'll be changing throughout the weekend to
That's
see
cool.
when players score, come in. And even right now, we've got the projected scores for those who have fantasy coach, but we've always struggled getting that formula right once a player's game actually starts. So it kind of loses that projection there.
Yeah, cool.
Jaden's just come in and punched in some numbers and found out a way to get that projection live and really clear and really fun. So
Can punch numbers.
He can.
He's good at what he does.
Unbelievable.
Absolute genius. So you didn't get that job, Cal, when you
I put in for it.
he interviewed well too.
There you
I
go.
was
Thank you,
impressed.
MJ.
Only trumped by Jaden.
Yeah.
through a little
Damn. I was
Excel
second.
document.
Now, we will have, one of the great features that we've had in draft over the last few years is customising scores. So that'll be there. Is that any changes with that sort of stuff?
Yeah, that's it. It'll be there. Look, one thing that we do want to do is give fans the ability to give them a bit of a preset. So if they really want to jump into customization, but they don't quite know what the best thing to do is, we're creating a few scoring systems on our own. Again, thanks to Jaden, who's just come and done this.
And Cal.
But there's no mistaking that the fantasy classic scoring system that we use is somewhat basic, and it works really well.
Tried and
What you
true
wanna
for
do
us
with it.
simple humans.
Live for that thing.
Stick it simple.
But we're going to introduce particularly a new one that we're workshopping at the moment called Impact, which really does more highlight the impact that a player has on a game. A lot more scoring categories in there and a lot more tweaking of what points are worth. So if you sit there and go, I've never liked the fantasy classic or the AFL fantasy scoring system, I don't quite know what to jump into. This might be the one for you, so you don't have to do the work. We've sort of done it for
The
you.
eye
And we'll
test
sort of,
is there for you a bit more.
looking through the rankings and things like that, the players that it's spitting out are all pretty bloody good players. So it's not necessarily like this guy's a great fantasy player. It's like this guy's just a hell of a footballer and he scores well in this system.
Have you considered calling it a double flex or something?
Oh, yeah, good one.
Instead of impact?
There you go.
Yeah, I like that.
Roy is an impact player.
I am.
Do you know the
You're looking
impact?
for a logo,
That
Roy,
sounds
if
pretty
you wanna-
exciting.
Want to post for it?
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I like that.
I'll just do one for the flex position.
Actually, please don't get him started on this, because what happens, we'll have our AFL record photo shoot coming up soon. Cal, what does he do just before the photos are taken?
He does his push-ups.
Yeah, he does.
And I like it.
It's just tradition.
Yeah.
I'm a traditionalist.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
why I don't like the buys.
So we've got a flex position. Hang on. Seriously, we've got a flex position.
Yes.
Do we have an unfit, out-of-shape position as well, MJ? Come on.
Well, actually, there is.
Unfortunately, I'm there
We're
as
going to
well.
have an injury reserve. Is that right? So it actually is. That's the cow position. That's something that's coming, though, isn't it? Is that something we're working towards?
Injury reserve is going to be in there. So, we've got to work through the details of what it looks like with the champion data feed and the injury list and things like that.
Slide him right on the bench.
Yep, love
Put
it.
him on there, he'll be cheerleading, and you can bring someone else in to replace him.
We need that. You need to actually have the ability to draft Calvin just to keep it on the injury reserve.
It's great.
You can use it for the podcast, Cal. You can call someone else in and take a couple of weeks off if you're a bit sore.
100%.
100% he could.
He does
Yeah.
that, although he still sits here. He takes a couple of weeks off every
zones
year,
out.
and we go, it's like weekend at Birdie sometimes with Calvin Calvinator. We don't know what's
He
going on.
did struggle to make it up the staircase. I thought we did need a replacement
That's
there.
right. It is a long way up there now.
Unfit getting up our stairs into the studio.
Hey, back on topic.
Right.
Sorry,
There's
double
plenty of
flex.
great stuff coming. We're very excited about it. I guess there's a bit of a roadmap for the next couple of years, though. I think that's probably the thing to be thinking about. As you've sort of mentioned, we're going to have some extra stuff. Any other things that people should probably, look out for and go, oh, I've been wanting that, and that's definitely on the roadmap to be hopefully in the
it's
game.
a great question too, Warren. And for what it's worth, we're still listening.
Yeah.
Like, believe it or not, you write in, or we're scouring social media. If you say something, we're listening. We take the surveys very seriously. We don't make decisions that aren't based on fan feedback. But 2026 is when we want to go with full-blown dynasty leagues.
Yep.
What that looks like, we've got plenty of time to work through it. But that's really what we're leading to, and that's really what fantasy sports is heading towards as well. So having that position, having that ability to have a dynasty league is a big one. That's also going to come with things like having editable player positions.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're sick of the player positions that are in there, you can go in and completely edit them yourselves, make them however you want to do them. We're looking at doing things like having bonus points that you can allocate for your league. So if you get a certain score within your league that's entirely chosen by the commissioner, even if you lose, you might get an extra point. editing fixtures, editing transaction numbers, having a can't cut list that's managed by the commissioner, dropping the lowest score of every position. It's actually one I personally have in my league. If you've got your 7 defenders, the bottom score of each position doesn't count. So you sort of get a mulligan if they have a bad game or get an injury or things like that. There's a lot of stuff coming, but there's a lot of stuff. We're keeping a pretty open book with this. So if we do get some good feedback, we've been chatting to a few people in the community, and we've had, talking about having a free agency budget as probably the fairest way to do it.
Yeah, cool.
All these sorts of things are stuff that we want to look at over the next couple of years.
Yeah, a lot of those things that I guess people have been talking about. And in a way, and this is probably that full transparency you're talking about, it's been hard to probably get all the things that we've wanted in over the time, especially but now I guess we've got that opportunity with that full rebuild to do this.
This has been the hard thing as well, because we've known that we've been building towards a 2025 rebuild. So for the last 18 months, it hasn't made sense for us to build anything new on that old platform. It was just going to be too difficult to build it on the old platform, but B, we'd have to be rebuilding it anyway. So we're treading water a little bit, and that made things difficult. So it's really exciting to be in this position now where we can bring everything that the fans have wanted for a long time.
It's looking and sounding really awesome with what we'll be able to see. We'll be sharing some stuff across social on afl.com.au as we get more information, but hopefully people are getting excited about this and we can be almost locking in our draft times. I know we'll probably be looking at that weekend before the season starts or round 1 starts, so over opening round weekend. I think that'll make it a good time for us to do that. I guess with those buys and stuff as well, there's going to be more flexibility for commissioners to do stuff, and you can actually assign different commissioners now, can't you? That's a bit of a different thing that we'll sort of have.
You can. So you can assign a new commissioner. You can have multiple commissioners, so everyone sort of gets access to the tools. There's a bunch of stuff in there around being able to edit players and edit scores and edit teams. Obviously, the news of the fixture drops for us the same day as it drops for everyone else. So we're working through what iterations do look like for the extra bye week that we do have this year, and whether we have ways to manipulate that through commissioners as well. So hopefully we can find a nice resolution that makes it clean and clear for everyone as well. Yeah,
that's right. The buys are always in draft, really, something that is a tricky thing, and we want, hopefully everything to be nice and easy, because at the end of the day, we talked about it before, that we want us to be able to play through the buys and have that, and so have some solutions that are nice and easy for everyone to roll on with. Well, MJ, thanks so much, mate. We appreciate you jumping on, and I think a lot of people will be very excited with what they've heard and what they will hear in the future as well. So everything else coming along, how's everything looking for launch? Are we aiming for before Christmas like we have done the last couple of years?
We're absolutely aiming for it, Warnie, no doubt. I'd be surprised if Draft has the app out before Christmas. It'll just be probably web only before Christmas. What I will say is we are planning on rebuilding Classic for 2026.
Okay, yep.
So we'll be spending a lot of time next year going through what that looks like, and again, canvassing fans for any ideas that they might have to change that. What it does mean for 2025 is that we will have a separate app for Draft and Classic.
Yep.
You'll be able to very easily go between both of them when you're in the app. But just for 1 year, because we can't build that new Draft platform on the old tech stack, we do have to have a separate app for it this year. So we'll provide some more information about that when it comes. So when Draft launches on app, it'll be a brand spanking new app that you have to download from the App Store too. So I think that's pretty exciting, and looking forward to seeing what that app looks like next year, but in 2026 when it's just jam-packed full of everything new.
Now, we do appreciate MJ coming on. It is 8:23 p.m. here. Now, in North Carolina, Roy, it's 4:23 a.m., so we do appreciate you getting up early in the morning, mate. Excellent.
But MJ would be starting training shortly.
I know he would. He never stops.
Never miss a session, boys.
All right, love it.
Thanks, MJ. Appreciate your time, and good luck with everything coming up, and we're super excited about the season ahead.
Thanks, lads. Looking forward to it.
All right, so the trade period happened a month ago?
Yeah, it was about a month, I think we decided at the top of the show.
Been a bit going on. Including, actually, we'll talk about trade period, but the AFLW fantasy competition was huge. Massive finish in that. Huge to win the Hilux there, so that was a...
How did you go, dog?
Just outside the top 1,000.
Oh, story of your
life.
life.
I was a little bit disappointed.
I thought he might have got a hat.
I was going all right.
I had a song ready for it.
Did you?
That's where his season ended.
That was there, and looking forward to that being back next year. I've learned a lot over these first couple of years of that, and I'm going to teach it to you boys, because you've got the fantasy chops to do it right. in that?
Please.
I think so.
I do not.
No, you don't.
No, I will have a crack with you next week.
Anyway, all right. So, trade period.
Yep.
We're talking about because that happened, and Roy, you were yawning throughout that.
Yeah, he
you
was.
said that off the top. You weren't overly happy, but it did. We got relevance. out of the period.
We did. Like, it saved itself. Probably only needed 1 or 2 days talking about it, really.
Well, yeah.
In the end, but it got there.
It did, and I think this is. I've made a bit of a list of what I reckon are the most relevant.
Hey, we'll take it.
Let's go for an intro for that, Cow.
You could have.
give me a most relevant.
War Dog's most relevant.
How many players do you talk about in your most relevant?
I didn't go players as such.
Teams.
I went teams.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Go for it.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Sorry.
The Dogs. The Dogs is the number one most relevant, but not the Dogs. The ex-Dogs.
Oh, yeah.
I see what he
No,
did
not
there.
your old girlfriend's
So the-
Calvinator. We have Dogs. That was funny. I didn't even plan that.
That
mate.
was very
That
good.
was actually best of the night.
It was.
It's getting late.
Goodness, it is.
It is.
Yes,
Come
a few
on.
coffee's in too.
George is talking. Right. So the ex-Dogs, they had 3 blokes that left them that are all going to be super relevant.
They are.
Big
And
time.
so let's start with the number one most relevant player, and that is Baslenka, Bailey Smith. So he has moved, and this was always going to happen, moved to the Gats, went down there because they like a bit of cotton on down there. So
do.
Baslenka, and Baslenka likes his shirt off. And he's kept it off pretty much every day of this offseason.
Would you not? No. It should be a special rule where he can play topless.
Great, just paint a number on
we
his
should have
chest.
asked MJ before. Could his
Yes.
photo profile
Surely.
picture
Surely.
be that? That'll get more people playing fantasy.
Wouldn't it ever?
I'd create
Get a
another
new-
account.
a new
play properly.
demographic, I reckon.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's the man. Basically, he's going to be priced at 58. He's going to be a midfielder. He'll
Yeah.
be in their engine room.
Has to be.
And we'll have the keys to that. He's he's fit. Well, his body looks like it, but he is good to go. Like, he's hitting day one of pre-season.
The thing is-
He's with the first to fourth years, I assume.
Yeah, so we thought he was a bargain last year.
Yep.
And the only thing that has derailed his career is being bevoed.
Yep.
And like you said a minute ago, there's the keys, Baz.
Yep.
Like, they're a gun team still.
Yep.
And he has just walked into probably their weakest area, the
Yep.
midfield, and he's a Jet in there, and he will return to Jet status.
Oh, what?
As
Hey.
if.
He's got the round 3 bye. 4 teams on
Okay,
it.
so that is a big thing. Now,
Fair enough.
a thing that trumps that, though, priced at 58,
Oh.
he will still have forward status.
Reverse siren.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is the thing.
Yeah, give your throat a break.
Yeah, Baslenka with forward status, and actually all 3 of these dogs probably will and
Yeah.
should have it. It's
'Cause they
just
were all
an absolute
bevoed,
lot.
that's why.
Yeah. And even for that, Baslenka, that 58, because he gets that 30% discount, that's off an average where he was bevoed as well.
Yeah.
Remember that
Yeah.
year?
Yes.
Thrown around everywhere.
Yeah.
He lost the plot too
He
that
did.
year. It was...
Yep.
So he's... Yeah, it's awesome. Like, it's just
It's
a perfect...
just-
he's happy. It's
Yeah.
going to be a...
We
just
can
a
all
walk-up
enjoy him
pick.
together because
And
you wouldn't
we
be
can.
silly enough to miss him.
Despite that cow with that round 3 buy when it is on that heavier early buy,
Yep.
we just have to do it.
I think so.
I agree.
As we might have to do with next. Who are we going to go next?
We're going to go with Jack Macrae.
Jack Macrae.
Which is amazing
Yep.
because
Again,
St Kilda he's
he
gone
did
to.
find his way to the never again list.
Yeah, he did.
However,
However,
I think he's straight back off it.
well, that's it. At St Kilda, no early buy for him.
No, that's a win.
So that's a huge
Now, he's
win.
priced at 71.
Yes.
And that's because he averaged 71 from his 18 games and was completely bevo.
Yep.
He was. So he sees himself as an elite inside mid.
We all do.
Now, the further out of the inside mid role he got pushed, the further his head.
Yep.
His ear was basically resting on his shoulder.
Yeah,
by
he
the
nearly
end.
fell over.
He did. He
Yep.
did.
Yep.
Which actually
Yep.
reminds me, I had slight concern day one at St Kilda.
Yeah.
Did you see that presser?
Yeah.
That wasn't fully erect.
People have been sending in photos, and that's
You saw the most updated one?
Three season pics of him.
It's back
We
to
need more.
90 degrees.
It is.
It was
It's
90
on the way
degrees.
up.
Yep.
90 compared to his shoulders.
Yep. That's it.
Right, that's
To be
how
clear on
you
that.
do it,
Because
right.
otherwise it's on a 45-degree tilt.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how we measure the degree
Yeah.
tilt.
So that leads me to believe
He's back.
back to an elite mid.
So the
With
quote
forward
that
status.
came out of that, we said, Jack's really hungry. same. To establish himself as one of the premier midfielders in the competition.
Yes.
And I tend to agree. Lock him in.
I reckon he wants to do that. I don't know if he can.
I want to do it, yes.
What do you reckon he
I
averages?
think he's great.
He can easily be 90.
And with forward status,
Yep.
that should, and especially, we'll talk about these fantasy leagues next time we're together for fantasy leagues. We'll talk about some positions.
Mate, if that
And
is,
there won't be many forwards, and he'll be one of them.
if the truth is inside mid-roll, you are back to doing what you want to do in there.
Yep.
95, 100. He hasn't lost it that much.
104 career average.
Okay.
Probably last year he took a hit of that.
I would think so. But so it would. It's a completely different role.
We're still going with the most relevant. We're talking about the ex-Dogs,
Yep.
Caleb Daniel. He's priced at 50. He wore the vest a
Did
few
you hear
times.
that? He's priced at 50.
He's
You
gone
know
over
what?
100 before.
He's someone that I always like to consider. Every year. I probably don't end up doing it. You, however, do it. You're addicted to
Yep, he loves it.
small potato. But I think he's going to be great.
Look.
And he's just a gift at that price.
He's walked into the club. He did a funny skit with X-Area about the helmet.
That was great.
The helmet,
He's
lads.
at home.
It was funny.
I saw a video. Cole was talking to him.
Yep. Did he?
Coles has gone, come under my wing, mate.
He'd be a long way under his wing.
I'll show you the ropes.
Yep.
He's
What
a-
I loved, the quote about just being able to play with freedom and have fun
And where?
off halfback.
And where?
basically.
On halfback.
Halfback. And we
My
all know what
goodness.
happens at the halfback at the Rouge.
That's
John,
a ruse.
it's happened there for years.
It has.
And it's going to be him doing
Aaron
it.
Hall, Jack Zeeble,
Yep.
Colby McKercher.
So that's going to affect
Even
Coles.
the fish.
Yep. The fish.
If fish can do it.
I know. I know.
Even
We don't
the
have
mate-
there's no fish on the table.
Tom Powell.
Oh, Powell,
He could do it.
Wow.
Look, anyone could do it. Let's be honest.
And
So if he's
if
doing
anyone-
that, like, they've priced at 50. No early buy.
no one would work harder in that role with a green light to do it
Yep.
than Caleb.
Now, Roy,
Yes.
he's priced at 50.
Yeah.
How many points underpriced is he? Don't.
In this role.
Don't say it.
No, it's 50 minimum.
So he doubles it.
Yes, he doubles it.
Wow. Okay.
And there will be a couple of day outs in it too.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
You know it's true.
I do.
Like,
Yes.
all I can see is Colby and that getting pushed up to wings.
Yep.
Caleb, it's mine.
Yep.
That whole D50 is his.
Agree.
People think that's all that's in the relevance of
What?
the trade period. There's more. Not as much as that, though. Those ex-Dogs.
That is relevant.
Right, that's
though.
huge.
Big-
We've got Hawthorn. Now, it's not because of who they've brought in, really,
Well, not that they're going to score, no.
because that's Battle and Barras. Battle and Barras. Where are they going to be playing?
Back,
Back. What are they doing? Probably jobs and stuff.
lockdown.
Sick dog.
Freeze the dog up.
Now, he's down a bit.
yeah.
A dog
Now,
off a lead.
We did talk about that with your...
He cost me the hat, the
He
dog.
did. He did.
with your draft. Second round, you took Sick Dog last year.
Have a look at his average, bro.
can't
Yeah,
believe-
last year. And then this year, it was
Sick
shocking.
dog. He's a dude that we put him on the never again list for a reason. He should never be removed, even with this happening.
Do you reckon?
No.
Yeah, I don't love it. But
But he's at 88. Price at 88 after 105 the year before.
he's better than 88 draft as well, thinking.
He is.
He's going to be a fair way down the list.
I don't know who's writing about Hawthorn, but he's in the record, boys.
So
He's in the record.
the thing that you have to say is, with those two, there is the weekly concern now that he goes forward.
yeah, that is a concern.
Because
it's a
he
huge
did even,
concern.
at the end of the year, he was kicking goals again.
He was.
So it's got to be a huge flag.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
So that puts a line through Sick. I don't need much to put a line through Sick.
Yeah.
And that's enough.
Well, Cal, you're writing about him in the record.
Oh, he definitely he might even get the
He makes
picture
it.
for him.
He's not getting the picture, Roy.
He's a contender.
Have a look at him. He's not getting the picture.
The way you operate with what you put in the record, Cal.
Hey, have a look. Go back and have a look. I had a great year.
Did you?
Yep.
We need to do our
Go
recap
have a
on
look
that
at my
some
North
point.
Melbourne boys.
All I know.
Colby at number one.
Yep. X-Area was in there.
get you a photo in the record.
Yeah, and he loved it too. He loved it. He wants another one.
I wouldn't have been too far off the mark with my Bill Laurie approach these days.
Oh, straight back, Roy. Let's just pick the top 5 averaging players
Block it out.
on a watch list.
Hey,
Anyway,
it saves me from the social heat.
it does.
Well, who's got Richmond this year?
you
because
know.
Richmond are the next on my most.
Yeah.
Oh, the Calvin
Cal.
you've got
You know,
there.
yeah.
Now, you're going to know the names of any of these guys you're going to put there because they are going to have... They're going to be relevant because, A, they don't have the early buy, but they are going to be bloody youth.
Yeah, they will be our cash cow.
Yeah.
Yep. To answer your question, no, I won't know
They've
any of the
got
players.
about 50 picks in the top 20
Yeah.
of this draft coming up. So, don't know how that works, but they do.
They do.
And surely a few of them will be round
Straight
one
in.
starters.
Without a doubt,
They have
will.
to be.
Yeah.
You're going to do a bit of work on that to see who's there because they're big dogs at the end. Like, you've still got Taranto there, and the midfield's got
Shorty.
Shorty used to be
Hopper.
good.
Well, short too as a defender.
Yep.
Like that's someone's. They've still got to have the ball. Like no teams get out there and score 0 fantasy points altogether.
They don't.
Basher Hooley.
Actually,
Great team.
When we do more fixture analysis, we'll have a look at that. Like because
Who plays them?
Hey,
like that's
are
key.
you talking scale of hardness?
Scale of hardness, Cal. That'll be a feature of the club previews.
You stay in your lane, bro.
What are you
Staying
going to
away.
do with them? Because they're rolling out a team with an average age of 18.
I know. It's going to be hard, Roy, but
Because you won't have the numbers to...
No, I'm a man up for the chat. I will have my top 5 as all people you've never heard. Mark my
Then they're not
words.
going to have photos of them to put in there.
Roy, if Roy was doing it, he'd go Taranto number 1.
Well, you should.
No,
Taranto's value.
leave it to me.
Oh, no, the kids they've drafted.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
This is where you'll find the best info on the record. Not a promo. Keep going.
Next one of your most relevant.
Okay, let's go to the Eagles. Did I write Jack Graham? I didn't mean him. Liam Baker. That's all I mean.
The Bates.
Oh, so that's another one.
Roy, you're
You go.
You
no,
do.
he is my mate, but we only talk. You actually
you
sign
made
him
me
up.
do it.
You sign him up. He's a trap.
He is a trap. But he's got some value.
He's got
Despite
game.
the fact that he had his best fantasy average of about 7.
I know,
last year.
isn't that amazing? So
He's one to watch.
The thing is with him,
Who's got the Eagles?
if-
He's in the
Oh,
record.
Please
if
don't
he's
say-
unleashed in the midfield rather than Mr. Swiss Army knife fix
Yep,
it,
yep.
he's not MacGyver.
So he's priced at 78.
Roy, you've got him in the record.
Good.
He will make your 5.
Yeah, he will. I'm going
I
to
can
try to
t-
trick
and Harley
heaps of people.
Reid.
Harley Reid will be number 1.
Yes.
Elliot Yeo will be in there.
100% he will.
Because you have
Respect.
words to say about him.
Yeah, respect.
Mate, just
Yosta.
if you want to know who Roy's putting in the record, just have a look
Filtered
at
by.
average.
Oh, Bakes would get in there, actually.
He would on
For the
78,
Eagles.
All right,
he
next
would.
most relevant. We're starting to scrape here a little bit, but Shea Bolton
Oh, come on.
at Freo.
That's a scrape.
Now, the issue is he doesn't get the mid-clock.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
But
Definitely no room in there.
I feel like he's a bit unders.
As a forward,
As a four. And this is the issue. Like, next hashtag fantasy leagues, again, we'll talk about those positions.
Yeah.
He will be up there
That's the funny thing.
as the one of the forwards. And does he finish the year
Yeah.
as one of the best forwards? Yes.
Last year, just backing in someone like him would have been
Yep.
the right move.
Yeah.
So he went at 77 last year, 10 down from the previous
So
year.
I think he can
Do that 10.
lift that.
Yep.
He probably can. I am interested because he
Because
does
remember,
score
and
when
I
he
know
goes
it's a
through
bit
the
different
midfield.
because he was a similar sort of player. Sonny Walters, he'd get those stints in the midfield,
He
and
would.
he'd go through those runs where his scoring went up. It's just that they're probably that more stacked in the midfield than what they
They are
were.
loaded in there, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah, but interesting. name.
Look, never pick a docker. Just go
yeah.
down there.
And finally, in this most relevant, Roy, Cows Crows.
I've got him in there, Roy. Listen, this is actually two players to have a look at.
A good logo or a bad logo? What do you think, Cows?
I love it. I think it's a
haven't
great
seen it. I
logo.
heard people talking
Haven't you
about
seen
it.
it?
It's
No.
a good logo.
Someone
gonna
said
get
it
it up
looks
for
like
you.
the Hawks.
Look, if you think it's a
Poor
stupid...
man's Hawks, they said.
people just like to be negative.
They do. That is the truth.
And you're not allowed to like things. I
No,
liked
that's
it. I think it's great.
do you?
Yep.
There it is.
Look at that. What's wrong with that? It's sharp. Don't say that.
It's a bit underwhelming.
It's nice. It's good.
It's better
sharp.
than their old one.
Well,
That reminds me of Tony Modra.
I would prefer.
Matty Liptak. All the boys. I love it. Great.
Are you? Oh well, no, I don't want to try to be cool and just say something's not cool.
Yeah, but that's what's wrong with it. It's great.
I just don't know if it's old school or new school.
Yeah,
or
well,
what
that's
it
it.
is.
That's it. Mixed emotions. That's what
Looks
they've
like
gone
it's
for.
Well, I think they need-
Nintendo Entertainment System.
It does.
Oh, you're an idiot.
Without the retro coolness, though.
Right, back to the topic.
Oh,
So,
back to the drawing
You're not
board,
picking
I
the logo.
I love the logo.
Yeah, it's grown on me a lot too.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, maybe I need to stare at it for a few
Oh,
minutes.
here's a player. Here's a player for you.
Took me 3 weeks.
Your boy Peatling came over.
Yeah, I love Peatling.
Right, here we go.
Yes.
Now do you like the logo?
Yeah. No, well, yes.
Yes,
that-
it
Is
that
the
helped
issue with
me.
him mid-only?
Oh, I
Yeah,
think.
it's not ideal. He's not quite cheap enough to justify
Price
the
is 62.
mid-only. But, oh, God, maybe he is.
Okay.
That is so cheap.
He's a
if he
draft
is in the
flyer. Like
right
you just
role.
go one of
Yes.
your last picks in draft, and he could end up being a player that is fieldable at times.
What's that makeup in the midfield look like? Because he's a tackle beast in there.
So there's going to be changes, I feel, and there were changes during the season towards the end. Like Lairdy ended up on a half-back, didn't he?
And that'll probably stay, won't it?
Yeah.
It could do, now that he's there.
Matt? Is Matt going
it's
to
Crouch
roll around
out.
again?
We were surprised he rolled around this
He
time.
got back in.
He did get back in.
Yeah.
He forced his way back in.
Yeah,
and
Probably Dawes. But
racked
Dawes is
up.
all over the shop.
Racked
Dawson, Berry.
They
got a lot of...
Keysy had some time in there.
Gosh, maybe Peatling is in there.
He could be there. What about Isaac Cumming?
Well, it's cheap.
Priced at 56.
Gosh, that is very cheap.
He's going to be back doing what Isaac does, or being pushed up onto a wing.
A few years ago, he was great.
He's great.
I don't know. You can't not consider him.
So he's been a 91 before.
Now, we had an off-air conversation about
91.
this destroy.
91 he's been before.
Isaac coming with the mid status. He's going to play half-back.
Yes.
So he will pick up defender status. And this is about where we looked at the boner.
It is where we
It
look
is.
at
Riley
Boner,
Bonner.
and that worked out beautifully.
It did.
And
if he jumped off at the right time.
yeah, so he'll be the guy back there off halfback, won't he?
I think so.
Him and Lairdy.
Yep.
We're thinking.
At 56.
See, Smithy's still there, isn't he? Smith's
Yeah,
still
but
there.
I just think he's bumped well down
Washed.
now from being the
I think he is too.
distributor.
Yep.
It's a real watch.
It is. Yeah,
A
it just
real
has
watch.
to be. Yep.
Which is what they're all going to be about. We're looking at these guys now. There's 30-odd players that moved. And things change around. Like we talked about the Hawks. It wasn't about picking the
No,
Rass.
the flow-on effect of
It's the flow-on effect stuff, which we'll talk about when we do our club previews.
Correct.
Which will start on Boxing Day, and it will start with old Cowanator.
Oh, what do we got first?
the Richmond.
Oh,
Kids.
You get, imagine Boxing Day, Cow, everyone wakes up and they get to read.
Richmond.
Cow's awesome research
It'll
that
be
you're
a good
going
one
to do.
too. Who's my lock it in now? Who's my...
Oh.
All those ones.
The rookies. One
Yeah.
of the good rookies.
They're going to
If you
have to
lock
be.
it in now.
Yep.
Well, we'll have to watch the draft to see that. But that's coming up. We've got lots of stuff coming up. We'll probably be back in a couple of weeks' time or so. Once
Come
we
on.
get...
4 weeks time.
I'll make it December, Cow.
Okay.
Sometime in December. We'll be back.
Okay.
To talk the next fantasy leagues, because there's going to be a double header of fantasy leagues. Because the next one, we'll talk about some positions, prices, and, stuff.
Yeah, nice.
And that'll be
waiting for
ahead of
another
launch
thing.
because I think, like MJ said, game should be launching ahead of Christmas. We should be there, ignoring our families over Christmas time, being able to play with our fantasy sides.
Love it.
And doing that.
That
so
would be good.
lots of cool things. And make sure, if you haven't, if you're back on board, make sure you've clicked the little follow or subscribe or whatever on your Apple Podcasts, your Spotify, so you're able to get these podcasts when they drop, because they will be pretty good this year, I
will.
think. People have been saying that I think we're going to have a really good year of podcasts.
Oh, everybody's
I've heard
saying
that.
Yeah, I heard it as well.
Heard that. Someone mentioned it on stage at the National Podcast Awards.
Is that right, Roy? Love it.
Rightio, get ready for everything coming, including your flex position. Destroy. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. See ya.